What's up, you amazing people? I hope you're having a fantastic day. You are, of course, watching and listening to the Daily Dirty 30, also known as the DDT, here on The Kevin Lee Show. And I'm your host, Kevin Lee. Now, for those of you who do not know what the DDT is all about, let me take a moment to explain. You see, it's a show that airs live at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, Monday through Friday, and it's where I spend 30 minutes telling you, the viewer, all about the things that bother me today. What do I get out of it? It's easy. It's cathartic. Why should you tune in? That's even easier. It's entertaining. Sound like a fair trade? Good. Let's get to it. Happy Wednesday, friends. I'm glad you're able to join us, or join me. I guess I should say I'm kind of a one-man operation here, so I'm glad you're able to join me. And I'm sorry if my intro music was a little bit loud. I was messing with settings earlier and forgot to reset it back down. So sorry. My bad. Anyways, as you could probably tell by the title of this video, there's a number of things we need to talk about. I actually even had more things I wanted to talk about. That being said, I decided not to because I figured this is only going to be a half an hour and I do not want to spend, or I don't want to rush through everything so quickly that I can't cover anything or I can't give commentary on anything. And at the same time, I do not want to, promise you 8 things or 10 things I'm going to talk about and then run out of time after 3 and then just have to forget the rest. I don't want to be that guy. So I kept it down to 4. So hopefully we'll be able to get through all 4. I don't see why not. I'm not going to spend too much time on each one. All these kind of caught my attention. And I really feel like, it's important that I share them with you. That it was kind of my idea behind the whole thing. So sorry, I turned off my computer over here. Don't need that. Okay. Again, I hope everyone on Spreaker, the handful of people who do listen to me live on Spreaker, I hope you're able to hear me okay. My sound settings got all messed up for some reason. Got all reset and I had to redo them. And they looked okay to me now, but I haven't had a chance to hear it. So I guess hopefully it's good. If not, I apologize. For everyone else, welcome. I hope you're having a happy, healthy, productive Wednesday. I somewhat did. Somewhat happy, somewhat healthy, and somewhat productive. As you can see, I've got a lot of things I have to talk about, so at least I did some work, right? So let's jump right into it, shall we? Yeah. Okay, so you know what? Let's try to decide which story to cover first. Like many people, whenever I hear I have an option between bad news and good news, I often like to hear the bad news first so I can kind of get over with it and then just move on to the good stuff, or at least better stuff. And not that much I'm going to share today is better stuff, but let's just get the worst part of it out of the way. So I think now we're actually going to talk about this. Yesterday in Chicago, which is nearby where I live, there was a funeral. And at this funeral, there happened to be a shooting, if you will. And 15 people were shot while attending a funeral in Chicago. Now, if that ain't the damnedest thing, right? You're going to a funeral to pay your respects to someone you've already lost. You're already sad. You're already depressed, maybe angry, whatever it might be. And then everyone's kind of parting ways at the end of the funeral portion of it, or the wake part. I'm not sure what they were having at that point, but they were exiting the funeral home. And apparently a dark colored, or maybe even black, I think they even described it as Chevy Impala car pulled up. 3 guys got out and started shooting, which is terrible. Don't get me wrong. I'm not making light of that point. What I actually do find interesting, though, is that though there were 3 guys in this car who pulled up and jumped out and started shooting, I don't know if they weren't thinking things through, but many of the people who were walking out of the funeral also happened to have guns on them. Needless to say, a shootout occurred very quickly. And because of this, many people got injured, right? And it wasn't even like there was 5 gunshots or 10 gunshots. They estimate as high as 60, 70, even 80 gunshots minimum. Those are the shells they found. It was, and there is video of it, but I didn't want to look it up because first off, it doesn't show anything, thank God, or at least not really. Second, it's just it's just a bunch of gunshots. No one wants to hear that. It's just the idea of the story behind it. Can you imagine walking out of a damn funeral and getting shot at. I mean, I don't even care. Like, this might have been gang related, it sounds like, but still, does that make it right? Does that make it acceptable? Of course not. All right, let me bring this in over here. Should make it a little bigger so anyone who's watching can see. So this is basically the story. And actually, this is 14. They now know it's at least 15. And these were all people who were hospitalized. It wasn't like they were shot at. They were actually shot. I don't believe anyone has died, thankfully. But it's just absolutely messed up. And that's the thing. Like, people complain all the time about violence. People complain about violence in Chicago. Yet no one does a damn thing about it. I mean, yeah, you can't. Well, I actually, that's not even true. I say you can't predict this sort of thing. But actually, I think you can, because from what I read or heard, actually, I should say, watching a news quick brief earlier, they said that there was actually a police officer stationed there. So they must have assumed something bad could happen. So there was actually a cop there, or a patrol car at least. I don't know, I don't think they were actually attending the funeral. They were just kind of parked nearby. But think about that. And this happened in the middle of the day. This wasn't like this happened at nighttime. This wasn't like on the weekend. It was on a Tuesday. On a Tuesday, in the middle of the day, at a funeral, there was a gunfight in Chicago. This stuff is absolutely ridiculous. And everyone's like, well, what are you going to do? How are you going to stop it? I don't know. Start actually pressing charges and putting people in jail for longer periods of time. That could be one thing. But anyways, we're not here about the gun debate. I mean, I'm a huge Second Amendment defendant. So, I'm not sure how you feel about it. I'm sure you have your opinions, and you're right to have those opinions. But this is ridiculous. I mean, could you imagine, say you lost a relative? It could be a cousin, sibling, child, and you're mourning, and you're at a funeral. Do you want to actually think that you have to, when you walk out of that building, you have to be worried about getting shot yourself? I mean, regardless if this is a gang-related thing or not, it could happen at any time, right? This is effing nuts. I don't even know why I'm censoring myself. I shouldn't be. Fuck it. I'm sorry. I apologize. Yeah, so that is the first story. And another thing, too, and I don't have all the material to back this up. This is something more of just my opinion. I'm really sick and tired of hearing Chicago officials like the mayor, Lori Lightfoot, and I'm still trying to give the new police superintendent some wiggle room because he's only been on the job like, a month and a half. So it's not like he has a lot of, not even knowledge. He has knowledge because I think he came here from Dallas, maybe. So it's not like this is his first gig. He's done it before, but this is a different monster compared to almost anywhere else in the city, in the country. You could be from, a large city, but anything short of being in LA or New York or Atlanta or, I don't know, I'm sure pick another city or two that could be just as bad as Chicago. Unless you've been in that kind of environment, that size, that violent, you're never going to know how to respond to something like this. So it's crazy. I mean, it's just absolutely crazy. This is the day and age that we live in, right? I still have trouble wrapping my head around it. I mean, I know it's only for 15 people, and luckily no one was killed as far as I know, at least last I checked into it. Maybe they have an update. I don't know. Now it's at least 16 were shot. Yeah, just crazy. And they found over 60 shell casings. And there were so many victims that they had to ship them off to 5 different area hospitals because of the trauma. They couldn't send them all to 1 or 2 hospitals. Think about that. This is on a Tuesday afternoon. What is wrong with people? It's Tuesday. Tuesday is supposed to be a day where you just, go to work, come home, have some dinner, and put on Netflix. Not worry about getting shot. And not only that, okay, let's attack this monster real quick. Let's say this was completely gang related, right? This is something that it was a maybe the guy who had been shot had killed someone else, and that's why he was killed. But now they were going to kill someone else, so this how the gang comes in, and maybe everyone there is gang related, right? So you can say, well, this is the way it is in gangs. But think about it. Remove yourself from that group. This is a small group in a small area with a lot of innocent people going about their day, doing their shopping, having lunch, walking down the street, going to work, whatever it might be. And now they're in harm's way and they could be injured and or killed. It's ridiculous. And this is acceptable to too many people. Just absolutely too many people. But that being said, we're already a third of the way through the show, so I don't want to, like I said, see how fast it can go. So I still have 3 more things I want to talk about. So we'll make it something a little lighter and a little creepier, if you think that's possible. And now we're going to talk about Mary Magdalene. Now you might be asking yourself, hey, I know the name Mary Magdalene. Where does that come from? You're right. No, you're not. It's actually was it was one of Jesus's disciples, followers, friends with benefits. Who knows? I don't judge. But this is a person who is named in the Bible, and I'm trying to think. I can't think of her sister's name now. Damn it. But if you read through the Gospels, you can find her name mentioned in many different places. And she is credited as being one of the women who were there when Jesus had risen. And she was the first person that he had revealed himself to, and so be it. So that's kind of the story about Magdalene. Now, that being said, where are we at here? So again, here. So this is the reason why she's in the news and all over Twitter is because today is her feast day. Now, for the unindoctrinated, what that means is in Catholicism, when someone is made a saint, they are given a number of things, but one of the things that they're all given is a feast day. So that day is a day of feast in remembrance of this saint, and the Saint Mary Magdalene. And as you notice here, there's a little description. It'll say who was the first to see the risen Christ, to announce his resurrection. She's patron saint of converts, women penitents, contemplation against sexual temptation, so on and so forth. There's a little rumor, little innuendo, little implication in the Bible that Mary might have been a woman of the night, but obviously she had changed her ways when she met Jesus, and went on a better path. But anyways, she is a person mentioned in the Bible who was supposedly very close to Christ, and Catholics decided to kind of make her this saint, if you will. Now, mind you, don't confuse. This is not Mary, his mother. This is Mary, his friend, follower, disciple, whatever she might have been. I'll let you decide what you think she was. But so this is, Mary Magdalene. The reason I wanted to bring it up isn't because I want to convert you to Catholicism, because I don't, or any religion for that matter. But what I find most interesting is that with anything, especially when it comes to Catholicism, there are a lot of artifacts, or at least alleged artifacts, that are held as holy pieces of the religion, right? You can go to churches and basilicas all over especially Europe, and they're going to have, I'm talking, these are things that are, not decades old or even centuries old, but millennia old. I mean, there's churches that are 1,500 years old, 1,800 years old. I mean, ridiculously old buildings. And in there, they have a lot of creepy shit. I'm not going to lie. Just do a simple Google search of, priests that are buried inside the walls, or a tomb, like right in the center of a church. In certain churches, I think, boy, I should have brought up some pictures, but I didn't really think of it till just now. There are walls made up of human skeletons and pieces and skulls. It's just crazy things they did. I don't know why. Not judging, but it's creepy. That being said, we're going to talk a little bit more about creepy stuff. Because next on here, it's going to be another tweet. And as you can see, it's got a creepy picture. And real quickly, it says, today is the feast day of Mary Magdalene. This is said to be her skull, which is kept in a glass dome in a crypt outside of Provence. The skull of Mary Magdalene rests in the crypt of the Basilica St. Marie Magdalene, a massive Gothic basilica whose construction began in 1295. So that was a long time ago. That was well after the time of Mary and Jesus, but also well before our time. About 730 years ago, give or take, a little more. And just so you can see this is a picture. Yes, that is a human skull encased in glass or whatever it is. And it's in this weird, creepy mannequin type body. Looks like it's made out of gold or brass or copper. It's hard to tell. And it's very nicely sculpted. You can't see it if you're listening on the podcast at home. You can't see it. It is definitely something you should Google. But Mary Magdalene's skull apparently will probably bring it right up, I'm assuming. But yeah, it's really creepy. And again, I'm sure it has great meaning to those who are of the Catholic faith. I'm not judging in that sense, but it is weird. And there's another picture. So this is more of a fuller shot. And here's a couple of angels, maybe. I don't know what they're supposed to be, but they're kind of holding up this statue, if you will. I mean, it's got like hair like sculpted into it. It's got all this creepy stuff. In my mind, creepy. I mean, the rest of it's beautiful. Take out the skull, and it's beautiful. And the homage to it is a beautiful idea. I'm not saying it's not. It's just a little creepy to be seeing this beautiful sculpted golden woman or whatever, and then just in this big piece of glass is a human skull. Just kind of weird. But again, to each their own. I don't judge. Right? Let's get that off the screen because I don't want to see it. And I don't think you do either. Okay, so now we've gone through the shootings with the 15, 16 victims now in Chicago. Yesterday at a funeral in the middle of the day. Yay. We've taken a step sideways or up or I don't know to see that today is the feast day of St. Mary Magdalene, and we now saw her alleged skull. So is what it is. Okay, so you know what? We're going to do this next. We're going to do this story. This story is a vaccine already for COVID-19. No, there are talks of being possible, very successful trials. Still early on, but trials somewhere in Europe. I can't remember where it was. But that's not what this story is about. No. This story is about the U.S. government. And it's always good, especially in a time that we're in right now, to plan for the future, right? The U.S. government should be taking proactive steps. I applaud them for that. It's excellent. Excellent move, U.S. government. That being said, it's kind of a strange step, but maybe not if you actually look at the details. So what is happening is the U.S. government just signed, and I mean signed, a contract for $1.95 billion to procure 100 million vaccines. Which sounds like a great idea, right? I mean, how can you be upset? It's with Pfizer, who is a huge pharmaceutical company, and their German partner, BioNTech. And it's great. They're being proactive. I mean, obviously, Pfizer and BioNTech must be very, very close to a vaccine. So the U.S. government wants to get in there. No, that's not the case. It's actually not the case at all. As far as I can tell, they're not even very close at all. But just in case they get there, fingers crossed, we want a contract so we can get our vaccines, which, again, is being very proactive. It's actually a very smart business decision. And apparently the U.S. government has a bunch of these other contracts that they're reaching out to companies to try to get them to sign. Now, does this mean that the U.S. government has to pay them anything? Don't know. They haven't released the details. Obviously, they would pay them if they came out with a usable vaccine, but let's say they don't. Do they get something for their troubles? I don't know. Maybe not. And again, the reason why I say this is actually very smart of them is because if you think about it, okay, when you say the word $2 billion, $1.95 billion, you're going to think to yourself, okay, that's crazy. Why would the U.S. government shell out $2 billion for vaccines? They have to cost pennies. They have to be free. Well, okay. Let's, so this is, I'll just bring this up on the screen. Why not? So this is actually Pfizer. This is from Reuters, which is like the AP. It's like a very generic, like a reporting service. And again, this is from Pfizer and its German partner, BioNTech, secured nearly $2 billion order from the U.S. government for a coronavirus vaccine if they are able to successfully develop one. If they are able. And again, which is great if it sounds like, these guys are the front runners, but I don't think they even are the front runners, not even close. Let's just pause that. I don't even know. So again, I'm going to defend myself. Why am I saying that this is a wise decision? You're spending almost potentially $2 billion. Well, this is the deal. And it is only purchasing 100 million doses. But think about that. 100 million doses is nearly 1/3 of the entire country, right? Vaccines aren't necessary for 100% of the country because how many people have already had it? How many people have been exposed? How many people are testing positive for antibodies? So you don't need it for everybody. And 100 million is just the first set. They want to purchase more if these people actually come up with a viable solution. But 100 million will get them well on their way. Okay, if you could vaccinate 100 million people, which included the most vulnerable and the elderly and immune compromised and those with just issues where they could die easily. I mean, heart diseases and breathing issues. You name it, whatever. That would put us in a great position, right? And you say, well, that's almost $2 billion. Okay, well, think about how much we've spent in a few months trying to maintain our economy from COVID, right? Trillions. Now, I know you say billions, trillions. What's the difference? A B and a T? No. First off, we don't have time for that. But if you do the math and they were to purchase 100 million vaccinations for $1.95 billion, that comes out to a whopping $19.50 a dose. That, to me, is not a bad business practice. $19.50 for a potential life-saving, life-altering vaccination. Not a bad deal. You ask me? Not a bad deal at all. So for under $20, you can get the vaccine. Now, that being said, does that mean that other people in the U.S. wouldn't jack up the price and probably charge insurance companies $400? Who knows? That's an argument for another day. We don't really have time for that. But I just wanted to share the fact that the U.S. government at least is being proactive. Now, again, there are people who are supposedly even further ahead than this company, and supposedly, allegedly, the U.S. government is making attempts to make contracts with a number of companies, and whoever gets there first gets the money. If they can get a similar deal to this, it's a wise idea. Absolutely wise idea. Plus, it'll make sure that we have enough vaccines. So if we were to get, say there's a breakthrough and 3 or 4 or 5 companies pretty much all around the same time will come out with a very similar or safe vaccination that seems effective. And we are only getting 100 million from each one, but we're getting 400 or 500 million. We only have 330 million people in the country, give or take. So it's not bad, not a bad idea. So from that aspect, kudos to whoever in the Trump administration or whoever in the Department of Public Health or the CDC or whoever is behind this, whoever's working on this. It's a smart idea. And again, and especially if you don't have to pay anything, if they don't come up with anything, then you don't have to pay them anything, then it's just like a retainer. A promise that you have to pay out only if. And that's it. And that is a brilliant idea. Yeah. So... Okay, so we're going to get into the last couple ones. Now, I figured we'd go from something very serious like the shootings to something kind of important and kind of creepy with Mary Magdalene to also something important but informative and not creepy with the vaccines. And finally, we're going to end up on this. We are going to talk about hot dogs. Today is National Hot Dog Day, so happy National Hot Dog Day. If you like hot dogs, it's a good reason to eat one, or 2, or 3. Though I don't recommend that many, unless you're competing at Nathan's hot dog eating contest, which I actually haven't seen anything about it, but I heard the other day they were going to have or hold the contest, but they were going to have nobody else there, and it was going to be, I don't know if it's going to be streamed. I haven't seen anything. I haven't had a chance this evening to look into it to see if they actually did hold it, but they might have. And my guess is some little Japanese guy probably won it again, if they did have it, or if he was there. Isn't that amazing? You ever watch those eating contests? And usually, not always, but usually probably 85% of the time, it's always some small, skinny little son of a gun, right? Isn't that weird? Like, why would there be so many winners that are skinny? It makes no sense. But like I said, it is. And here's a little throw out to Chicago. So National Hot Dog Day is today. Nobody does it like Chicago. And I have to admit, I've had a lot of hot dogs in my day. You can tell if you got a full shot of my body because I'm kind of fat. And by kind of fat, I mean fat. And I actually haven't had a good hot dog in a while. And then not just because of coronavirus, I just haven't been going out to eat at restaurants for a good, year. So I haven't really had a good hot dog in a while. But if you can get yourself a good Chicago hot dog, I highly recommend it. And you want to get it with the works at least once. Got peppers on there and onions, and you got that weird radioactive relish and good stuff. Celery salt. That's the key. People don't understand about hot dogs. Why are hot dogs good? Because you put celery salt on them. In fact, when I was younger, what did I used to get? I used to get, well, when I was, okay, so I'm gonna disappoint a few people here. So when I was younger, I used to put on ketchup, onions, and celery salt. Yeah, ketchup, onions, and celery salt. That was my go-to. That was my jam. Now, I'd probably actually prefer tomatoes, to be honest with you. But as before, I even know you could put tomatoes on a hot dog. I was young. I was like 8 years old. Don't pick on me. But yeah, I still like maybe even like a mustard and tomatoes and onions, maybe some relish, definitely celery salt. Boy, that sounds good. Now I'm hungry. Jeez. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. So like I said, it is National Hot Dog Day. Now, in honor of Hot Dog Day, I found a very bizarre video that we're going to watch. And it's creepy. So that's actually creepy. It's funny creepy, but it's a person. I don't know, a guy maybe he looks like, who's going to show you how to handle your hot dog. So without further ado, let's get to it. Now, if that ain't impressive, I don't know what is. Still kind of weird. Sorry. I just thought it was funny. Someone, I don't know, maybe he's a drummer, and he's like, for those at home who are listening on the podcast who do not hear what's going on, or do not see what is going on. Of course you hear, of course, at least I hope you do. That was a man who is twirling a hot dog between fingers like a person does like a coin or a drumstick. It's pretty impressive, to say the least. But yeah, that's a happy National Hot Dog Day. Tell you what, boy, now I really am hungry. But let's move on. So we're actually coming out to the end of the show already. So 28 minutes. These things go by so quickly. I always think to myself, oh my God, how am I going to fill a half an hour talking? Obviously, it's not very difficult. If you guys have any suggestions of topics you want me to talk about, I'd be more than happy to. I don't know if I should make these things more serious or more lighthearted. I really don't. I kind of wrestle with that concept. Like, do I try to help people? Do I try to get a message across? Do I try to make people forget and get away and laugh? Maybe I do a little both. I do not know. Yeah. So if you have any topics you ever want me to cover, let me know. And you can hit me up everywhere. So as it says in the little thing underneath, boop, right there, it says thekevinleeshow.com. It's thekevinleeshow.com. You go on there, you're going to find anything and everything you need. You're going to have links to every single social media. I've got embeds for all my audio podcasts, my video podcasts, for this at the Daily Dirty 30. I also have the Libertarian Hour, which airs every week on Saturdays. I also have a crazy, fun, silly, usually drunk podcast I do called Whatever with Kevin. That airs every whenever, because it's whatever, whenever. It's pretty much what it is. I mean, sometimes I do 2, 3 a month. Sometimes I do it once every 5 months. Just kind of depends. But it's all there. Literally all my social medias are there. I'm on Instagram, Twitter. I'm on Twitch, Facebook, obviously. I'm on Float. If you guys are on Float, I recommend you check it out. It's Float, flote.app. It's fun. It's a new one, or newer one, I believe. And actually, for anybody who follows me on Float, I'm probably going to start streaming live there next week. So I've never done it. I don't know how easy it is. I mean, I know how easy it is for me, but to watch it, I don't know if you have to go to a certain place. I'm not sure if you guys watch, if you go on Float on your computers or your tablets, or if you actually download the beta app. I don't know, but just giving you a heads up there. But yeah, that's pretty much about it. We are about 30 minutes, so I'm going to get the hell out of here. But like I said, I hope you guys are having a great day. I hope you're happy and healthy and have a good rest of your Wednesday. And we will see you tomorrow. Bye.